This cannot be. This cannot be the toilet, I said, looking around the washroom again, hoping that a regular civilized toilet would just magically materialize and save me. No such luck. Okay, Isha, pull yourself together, I said as I tried to calm myself and face the fact that you have to go even if it's on or in this thing. But first, I have to be sure. I grabbed a hold of the chain, took a deep breath, and gave it a yank. There was a gurgling sound, followed by the sound of water. I looked down at the hole and saw that a small wave of water had splashed into it and hopefully retreated as well. I guess I have no choice, I concluded as the moans from my stomach grew louder by the minute. I had to go badly. With a sigh, I closed the washroom door behind me and locked it. The last thing I wanted was to be caught with my pants down, squatting over a hole on my first night in India. First, I bent down and took a long, careful look at the hole, just to make sure that nothing was lurking inside it. I shuddered at the thought of a snake slithering up. I shook my head and tried to breathe. Finally confident that the coast was clear, I stood up and planted my feet on either side of the hole. I pulled down my pants and squatted. Oh no, I cried out, standing up before anything started. Toilet paper. I looked around once again and found nothing. So I ran back into the bedroom and threw open my suitcase. There lay a half dozen rolls of toilet paper. Thinking back, I felt stupid that I had made fun of my mother when she was loading these rolls into my suitcase. She had insisted that I would have use for them, and I'd thought she was just wasting precious luggage space. Why wouldn't they have toilet paper? Thanks, Mom, I said as I ran back into the washroom and locked the door once again and took my position over the hole. I have to admit, it wasn't as uncomfortable as it had appeared. It, as it as it had appeared it would be, but it took a lot of concentration and aim. After a few minutes, I stood up and retreated. I yanked the chain, eagerly waiting for the water to splash away the remains. But nothing happened. I yanked the chain even harder, but again, nothing happened. This is just freaking great. Now what? I was beginning to panic. Please, 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 oh wonderful Mr. Chain, just flush, I begged. I held onto the chain once again and pulled it down hard. Only this time I held it down for a while longer. After what seemed like an eternity, the gurgling sound appeared, and water began to splash into the hole. Yes! Thank you, thank you, thank you, I cried as I made my way to the sink to wash my hands, then ran out of the washroom, closing the door behind me. I looked at my watch. A half hour had passed. With slightly sore legs and a nauseous feeling, but with relief that it was behind me, I fell onto the bed and closed my eyes. I was exhausted. So that's the end of chapter 5. Now let's flesh out some ideas in this chapter. I think the most important thing that comes to mind is the fact that Isha is discovering that India is a completely different place. It is not BC, it is not Canada, right? And this is signified by her having to use a squat toilet. Now, apparently, a squat toilet is very popular over in Asia. It's a regular occurrence. But for her, this is the first time that she's seeing one, and she's had to use one. So I went to this article. I don't know if you can see the writer. I don't want to plagiarize. So his name is Greg Rogers, and apparently he's a blogger, and he talks about, the different things that you need to know when you're traveling. So this is a picture. I'm going to post this this article in our on Google Classroom so that you guys can read it at your leisure. So this section that deals with her having to use the toilet is significant. Bearing in mind that a toilet is not a topic that we often see people writing about. But the writer feels like it's important to include this detail in the piece because it has significance to the fact that, and it also foreshadows the fact that things are going to be completely different from what Isha had expected. She thought that going to India was just like get on a plane, get to Kiratpur, sprinkle the ashes in the river, get back on a plane, and go back to Canada. So everything from her meeting the awkward meeting, not just meeting, the awkward meeting that she had with her grandmother, her daddy, and her sister-in-law, Jazdeep, aka Jazz. All that awkwardness is, and the fact that her brother slash cousin hadn't made the effort to come to the airport to meet her. Okay, so fine. He wasn't able to get to the airport. Obviously, they have a driver. So Chotu was, is very capable. He went to pick her up. He got her home safely. But at the very least, he could have been at the house when she got there. But all of this is just letting us know that things are different. One, things are different in India. Two, things are not going to go as planned. And of course, we have the benefit of our research, or background research, where we know that Isha is in India right around the time of Operation Blue Star. So remember the section where she said that when she was at the airport, so many people were staring at her. So they could have been staring at her for many reasons. One is because she's traveling during this time, and she's obviously a foreigner. Secondly, Shotu mentions that she is of fair complexion. This speaks to the idea of colorism. So in a lot of colonized locations, spaces, people with lighter complexion are more privileged than other people with darker complexion. So this could be the writer, speaking to that issue that exists in not just India, not just Jamaica, but most places, most spaces that were colonized. The other thing I want to mention quickly is the Indian gate that was mentioned earlier in the chapter. This is a very significant symbol in the chapter, in the text, because it represents sacrifice. And like we said, usually symbols usually represent themes. So here we have Isha, who is making a tremendous sacrifice on behalf of her family, going to India and bringing her father's urn with her. Shoto had explained that it was because of the people who had sacrificed their life in the Afghan war and the Indians who had participated in World War II. So not only did those people sacrifice their lives, Isha is sacrificing her summer. Her father also sacrificed for his family and ultimately for the people on his job. He saved their lives. All right, so I'm going to pause here.